in the car with Maggie, which, we're gonna get to that. In the car with Maggie, she's like, "There's no hope for me. I'm different. I like fast food, and I don't like high fashion, and I only like, I don't like birds. I don't like shooting birds." Bitch, what are you talking about?
Welcome to Girls of East Block. This broadcast was not intended for audiences under the age of 14 and those self-described as sensitive groups. If this does not apply to you, please continue watching and enjoy. Okay, this review does not warrant me getting out of bed. So
I would concur with that. Anyway, I just want to hop to this. I'm gonna be a hundo. I'm gonna be real. I need to like hop to this because I literally I want to talk about this movie, and then I never want to talk about this movie ever again, ever mention it that I saw it ever in the history of the world ever.
okay, go on. Let your feelings out, babe. I'm here for you.
Okay, thank you. Buffy, I can't. I'm too distracted. So the director, I'll start there just because overall thoughts, director thoughts. So Pablo Larraín, and I took notes, by the way, so she's prepared. He directed Jackie, which movie about like a central famous female lead that is struggling against what society expects of her, what her role expects of her, you know, her surroundings, the pressure of that responsibility versus how it relates to who she actually is. So he basically, what I'm trying to say is he's done these types of movies before. The writer,
I want to add to that he pretty much takes kind of an unlikely actress who is a huge name, and he will put her in the role of the biopic. And he always kind of picks someone that you don't expect to succeed.
Natalie Portman, I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
No, because what I mean is that he picks women that won't necessarily blend into the role. Like, he is not doing this for the accuracy of the biopic.
Okay.
He's doing it for... it's a vanity project for Natalie Portman to showcase that she can do a historical work. It's a vanity project for Kristen Stewart to showcase she can do a serious historical figure. Like, it's their Hollywood club, and I don't know, it's like a tier to pass for them.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get up because Buddy's no longer caring about me.
Oh, Buffy.
No,
We don't deserve. And the movie, I should say, the official movie description was like, Diana joins the royal family for 3 days of like Christmas, in which she decides to leave her husband. Like, that's the description, continuous description of the movie that I read.
That doesn't seem like what was happening, and
No. So symbolism at the very, very beginning, there's that dead bird on the side of the road.
Yeah.
And so I thought right off the bat, I was like, oh, that's like so on the nose. Okay, you know, kind of like
about this. I mean, that's the thing is this movie is all about like the symbolism, whatever, of Diana losing her mind and whatever, and the Anne Boleyn. But at the end of the day, they still have scenes like the one with the shooting pool, where he's like, there have to be two of you. So there's a lot of heavy-handed shit. Yeah.
We'll get to that. So the symbolism of the bird, the symbolism of Anne Boleyn with like her head being cut off, things like that. Yeah, there were a couple of things that they kept kind of alluding to, but costumes, her Chanel sunglasses, to die for. There's Chanel handbags, there's kind of Chanel elements in there. The costuming overall was almost like the more mentally deteriorated. She became, the grander the costumes, the bigger the shackles kind of got, you know? The
Oh, you really were paying attention. Good for you.
well, it's kind of, now that I'm talking to you as well, I'm kind of mentally processing. So now that we're talking about it, I'm talking about costumes again. Elegant, feminine, very much so Diana. So no real notes on that. Like, that was well done. The freaking violins. The violins. Oh my God. I mean, we get it. After like the first 2 minutes, like, stop it with the violins.
Yeah, it
I
was.
was like, am I in a horror movie? Like, these violins are like nails on a chalkboard at this point. Like, you're just.
That's the point. Everyone was calling it like psychological horror film, and yeah, it
But
there's
it's not. It just becomes like you dragging the cat by the tail. Like, so much of it was just this. I'm like, okay, we fucking get it. There's tension. There's tension here. There is uncomfortable moments here. The atmosphere is oppressive. The atmosphere is stifling. She keeps going, clutching her pearls. She keeps the scene where she's eating the soup and the pearls fall off. We get it. Like, she's had it up to fucking here with these people. We loud and clear.
Mhm.
Roger. You know, but I just felt like it was so. We were stuck in like the horror of this movie is that we're stuck in a loop throughout these 3 days. It's like mental illness Groundhog Day. I don't know how to else say it, you know? Like, it just keeps. I was like, what? Okay, here we go. Oh, she's cried in every fucking room in this house. Okay, here we go. Oh, she's crying again. All right. Oh, she's looking at him and she's crying. Yep. And she's at church. She's crying. Got it. And she's running through the fields and crying. Yeah. Okay. And she's in a wedding dress and crying. Cool.
Well, babe, I mean, to be a little bit of a devil's advocate here. That's what you do when you're depressed. That's like what you do, and this is just 3 days. I mean, that's something they chose to be like a super encapsulated portrait of a time when she was in a very bad spot.
But you can convey, and they did it with other elements. You can convey the distress, that this woman is in distress. Okay. I see it. I hear it. But you can convey that. I don't know. I felt like we were just stuck in a vicious cycle and I couldn't get out. And maybe that's the point of the movie. Maybe that's what it was meant to make me feel, that this is her vicious cycle that she just couldn't break. Acting. What did you think about Kristen? I mean,
Kristen.
What did you think about it? What did you think about her? That's my Kristen Stewart impression.
Oh, really? I thought you were just being yourself.
No! You're such a jerk.
I'm a jerk in the mornings, yeah. I feel like she didn't do a terrible job. In terms of acting, I think she did a good job, and people are saying she captured what Princess Diana was actually like when she was, I think by the account of her bodyguards and maybe staff or whatever. I think it all goes back to casting for me. She did the best that she could do,
right,
being herself, but she wasn't really chosen to be the perfect Diana. She was chosen to be Kristen Stewart as Diana.
Right.
And maybe kind of as a bit of a final redemption for everything that has been her career thus far. I want to say she did a way better job embodying her than she did Jean Seberg, because she did that biopic before. And I went, when I saw it, I went on a total rage on Instagram knowing she was cast as Diana, because seeing what she did to Jean, I was like, or Jean, I was like, why did they keep giving this woman movies? Why? And I realized she's not picking these movies. She's an incredibly humble person, and she seems like a very cool person. And I don't think she'd be the type to be like, oh, I want to be Princess Diana. She's the type for, the director sought her out. He was like, you'd be perfect for it. She was chosen for these things. She is chosen by these people to do these roles. And what is she supposed to do? Like, no, I can't do it. I'm not right for it. I mean, she could do that, but then she probably wouldn't get very many jobs, right? Because Kristen Stewart is good at being Kristen Stewart, and she is always going to be really nailing those awkward, feeling
Yes.
weird in their skin characters. She's always going to be good at that, and in that sense, she should be kind of typecast there. But people, I mean, my theory is that Kristen Stewart is just like a fucking fabulous person behind the scenes, and that makes up for such a bad actress being cast in all these roles. And it's not necessarily bad acting, it's like just miscasting. The things she is being put in, she does not belong in. And an aside about Jean Seberg, like, casting can come down to things as simple as the vocal intonations and body type. And for Seberg, Jean Seberg was a tiny waif of flamboyant gamine, if you know your Kiwi types, a tiny, like, childish, boyish waif of a woman. And her voice was high. She was incredibly feminine. So when I would see Kristen in the role, she was like, she looked incredibly big, like big shoulders. It didn't capture her essence at all. And she didn't do anything to change her vocalization. She didn't sound like her at all. So that obviously sent me in a rage, because like this particular actress and historical figure was like near and dear to me. Her story was really important for me to see get right. And I don't have such an attachment to Diana, but I know everybody else does.
Yeah.
And so I think that, and again, there was so many parts where I was just looking away from my laptop and like working. So I was very focused on her body language and her voice, because I'm like, this is where she failed at. And this is a way more important role, a way more important figure to portray. So, you know, she dead well had to get it right. And the voice, to me, like when I was watching Princess Diana interviews, and the way she talks, she almost talks kind of like a Keira Knightley. Like Keira Knightley on a normal day. Mm-hmm. She's like the mouth acting. It's just kind of very much like, I was like, Keira Knightley should portray her, but she doesn't look like her. So
yeah,
that's kind of a, and I, you know, not British person, don't know the difference. But to me, Kristen Stewart was like Emma Watson. She was doing, like, it's her voice, if you close her eyes, it sounds exactly like Emma Watson talking. And I'm not sure it didn't sound like Diana to me. And then when it comes to the mannerisms, like, it felt to me that I think she was portraying Diana in her 30s or 40s. She died in her 40s, so
yeah,
like gauging by how young the boys are, they're a little older. She felt to me like, you know, Emma Corrin in The Crown.
Yeah,
that's the right actress, right? From the clips I've seen, that like shy, bashful Diana in her youth is kind of like what she kept referencing. And I'm like, no, you need to be an adult Diana. You're not this like child with the shoulders up to your ears anymore.
Well, and that was it. It was like so much of this like shoulder action and this kind of like I can't, I won't, I can't, they don't know everything. You know,
The whispering. It was so much whispering that I don't even think there were probably moments where she was talking in a regular tone, but it was mostly like talking like this. And I get that it's because everybody hears everything in the in the estate, but um Diana was not that meek. Like I was watching her interview and she's quite bold. She behind
yeah.
this classy yet demure lady. The thing she said was quite bold, and Kristen Stewart felt her Diana felt like unsure and like stifled the
Well,
entire time.
completely unhinged. I mean,
Yeah.
at one point, this woman is talking to a bird. Like, oh, hello, bird. Like, what is happening? In the very beginning, she arrives there, and okay, yeah, she got lost, but we don't really know why she's miserable. Like, she arrives miserable. Okay. And then we kind of find out, oh, yeah, because Charles is, giving her the same pearls as Camilla. And then it's like the paparazzi. Okay. Then she can't go anywhere. Okay. And so throughout the whole movie, I was like, I don't understand what the big deal is. Like, they didn't really ever.
Oh, you're like, what's the big deal that she's like totally mentally breaking?
And then at the very end, I actually wrote this down. She says in the car with Maggie, which, we're gonna get to that. In the car with Maggie, she's like, "There's no hope for me. I'm different. I like fast food, and I don't like high fashion, and I only like I don't like birds. I don't like shooting birds." Bitch, what are you talking about? Like, talk about how this family has deep rooted colonialism, imperialism, racism. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, there's legit reasons to be like, listen, you guys are all nuts. I don't want to be a part of this.
Mm-hmm.
Guys, not to mention other creepy affiliations that they have had. I don't want to turn this into a conspiracy theory, but
Prince Andrew, we see you.
okay, cool. So God only knows what else they're up to. And this is like what we're choosing to say in this moment. What? Huh? Total swing and a miss. Total swing and a miss. And another one of my notes is, never did I see, but where is the strength? If this is her deciding to leave her husband and effectively turn her back on, this family, this tradition, this place, and she is, I think she was part royalty as well because of her connection to Anne Boleyn. Her family's connection. Like, she
Yeah,
was
I actually went and looked it up because I'm like, where? It is. It dates very, very far back to
very,
like.
very far back, right? Okay, so turning her back on this history, and she's doing it because she eats fast food and they cook food, and she likes casual clothes and they wear fancy clothes, and she doesn't like shooting birds. And I'm sorry, I gotta go. Like, I gotta get out of here. Like, this movie didn't really address what Charles put her through with Camilla. It
Mm-hmm.
didn't address at all what.
Well, it's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be the crown. It's not supposed to encapsulate all of that. It's like a day in a life.
Yeah, yeah, and I understand it's an artistic interpretation as well, because the movie, when I looked up like how accurate is it, it was like, no, this is not really accurate. Like, yes, she was there for the holidays, but like, no, like, it was not going crazy. So, but who really knows? I just felt like, as taking it as a story, right? I was in a coma for 50 years. I woke up and I watched this movie, right? Like, that's how I try to approach it, as like, I don't know. What if I just don't know anything about this woman, right? It was painful. It was just painful. It was long. It was the same, like I said, the same thing, a vicious circle of her freaking out in various parts of that house. And
No, I want to disagree in that it was, to me, it wasn't any of the particular things that the royal family was doing. It was so much as like the isolation, the not having any real friends, not having anyone to talk to, having people like nip at your heels all the time.
right.
And the paranoia. Like it was very clear that she's like the staff on multiple occasions was like, hey, we make fun of everyone else, but you were very, like, we treat you with kid gloves because we care about you. And we want to see you get to the level where you would be like on even playing ground with these people as someone we can attack. Like, you're not even, you're losing it, honey, and we want the best for you. But she's like, oh, think they'll kill me, or like, what is it?
Yeah, she said that in the very beginning. Do you think
Which was,
you think they'll kill me? I was like, okay, like I'm expecting.
That was used in the preview as more of like, oh, maybe Diana will address some of her suspicions that the royal family's out to get her. Instead, they kind of write it off as this,
Yeah,
like, oh, they're gonna be cross with me, type of thing.
yeah. It just, I mean, I just, I wasn't, when it turned, when she was like, at the very end, you might as well kill me. I was like, I'm not buying this at all. This is very, like, unhinged and not in the best way.
Well, all that stuff is true. She had bulimia and she did self-harm.
Yes, I did know that she had some struggles with her body image and things like that. I just didn't believe the. I.
This is my morning every morning.
No, I love it. So jealous. I just didn't believe how quickly she got her happy ending turnaround. It was like all of a sudden it was like, oh yeah, okay, I'm fine now. Yeah, children, let's go. Let's get into the car. I'm Spencer. Maggie, and she was off. Like,
that felt more like, that honestly felt kind of like a fairy tale, that ending. It was a fairy tale ending. I felt the real, like, reprieve came when she was on the beach with Maggie.
Yeah.
And she finally, like, had someone connect with, and
So Maggie, the love confession. I mean, I felt like it was at a very odd place in the movie. Like the ebb and flow of it was not super consistent to me, but more so on this Maggie part, I felt like, and there's nothing wrong with, listen, you love who you love, it's all good. But for the story element of it, I felt that it was very random and just not executed very well. Like, I don't know. I didn't feel like it was relevant to the story. That's how I.
Okay, so I'm thinking about it some more. I'm like, it's very sweet that this older woman is in love with Princess Diana. But then I also think that in general, love confessions, when there was a perceived portrayal of friendship, is kind of like, in my opinion, friendship is a lot like higher than romance, because romance has that sexual component, so like when you say like, oh, I'm in love with you, it kind of, it implies that other this kind of like selfish love that you have for a person. So when she said like I'm in love with you, it also kind of implies that she is on a pedestal as well. It just I was hoping they would play the angle of this servant of mine. We have a deep connection, a deep friend connection, and no, she didn't sell me out. No, she didn't betray me, and no, she doesn't look at me as some like god tier human. She's not in love with me. Like,
Oh, I see.
so her being like, I'm in love with you was like, I'm just another puppy under your spell. It takes away from the fact that no, you've seen me in my realness. You've seen me in like the dirty worst parts of me. Like you, that's not really, I mean, that's nice that you can still fall in love with someone when you've seen that, but it just, I don't know, it cheapened it for me. And I also, your remark about how in movies these days you kind of have to pick from a hat all these things you must include in a movie. You must have a minority character, multiple minority characters.
Mm-hmm.
You must have a LGBTQA character. You have to have a strong female character. In Britain though, in Britain they actually have, like, you cannot have a film that isn't diverse.
Mm-hmm.
So like when they do historical picks now, you will see a diverse cast no matter how unhistorically accurate it is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, and there's nothing wrong. Okay, there's nothing wrong with representation.
There's nothing wrong
but
this is a historical fucking pick. This is not about representation. This is about having a fucking accurate movie, as accurate, but yeah, an elaboration, a kind of a fever dream, sure, but this still has to be fucking accurate, okay? So when you put an element of like, I'm a queer character for the sake of being queer, it jumps out at you and it takes you out. Because how did that serve the story? I just described to you, and the way that didn't serve the story, it cheapened their bond, in my opinion. So
I wish they would have either explored that more or took it completely out.
Yeah.
Because it was just so like, what else? We're wrapping up the movie. Did we forget a scene? Did we forget it? Oh, we forgot like the whole interaction between these two characters. Throw her in there, have her confess some feelings, and we'll wrap this up. You know, it just didn't feel like it contributed anything to the story. And actually your point of view of it, putting Diana on a bigger pedestal, deifying her a little bit more, yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if you want to make a movie that is, you're like, this is completely not based on real events, this is my imagining of Diana's queer love story.
Mm-hmm.
Do
Great.
that, doing this here.
It just seemed like she was changing outfits and going to dinner the whole movie and crying in different rooms.
Yep.
Like, oh, we need her to do some shit. Okay, snipe yourself with the pliers. Okay, Maggie comes back. Okay, we gotta make this dynamic. Okay, tell her you're in love with her, and it's in not in the friends way. Okay, we need like a dramatic climax, like walk in the middle of the field and as they're shooting. You know what I'm saying? It just felt like, okay, we gotta wrap up this movie, and they drive off and go and go and go and go and go. Like,
well, the problem is the movie doesn't have a plot. I mean, there's no like really arc or anything. I mean, I think the idea when they were pitching it was, let's just do a bunch of scenic shots of the estate and the grounds, and have Diana in pretty outfits being sad, and make it kind of like, let's make it like a Chanel or Dior ad, but let's add story, like bare minimum.
I felt that. I was like, this is like a very 2-hour long perfume ad.
Yep. With a little bit with mental illness to spice it up. It's like you know how what is it? Okay, the chess show, Queen's
Uh,
Gambit.
yeah.
You know how everybody was pointing out like how pretty she looked during her downward spiral? I'm like, this is the prettiest presentation of mental illness I've ever seen. And it makes me want to go throw up in a toilet so I can be like Princess D.
Well, and I don't want to downgrade, because haters are going to come for us. So we don't want to downgrade mental illness. It's a serious thing. But
Listen,
the
hello, my name is mental illness.
but the way it was presented here, and you bring up a very good point of how pretty it is and how you can still be so put together.
Yeah.
It just
Well, okay, I also want to say like pretty people suffer from mental depression too, but
right, of course.
like but you know what I mean? It's messy, it's ugly. It's so much uglier than that. It's the not showering, not looking presentable. But they had to make this like Chanel depression.
Right. I like that. Chanel, yeah. And I agree with you. And it felt like we went an hour and a half just watching her run from place to place, from house to house. And like I said, when it kind of like, I half expected some sort of like resolve, like inner resolve, like inner, like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna leave. And that just never came. And I mean, I'm sure it came later in real life, if this is anywhere near accurate. But I never got anything. I never got any satisfaction. Kristen Stewart does a really good job. I think you're right, I think this is her Oscar play. Same thing, I read some comments and people were saying that she does a really great job.
No. I didn't listen. I said she did the best performance of her career, and
Yeah,
she changed as far as she would go. But I'm still gonna say you could have cast somebody who was dead on, who really disappeared. And what I'm shocked about is they didn't do much hair and makeup wise to really make her look like Diana. I feel like, remember the notes I made about Lady Gaga's appearance and House of Gucci, and how them going like extremely for that aesthetic kind of worked against them. It made it look campy. I noticed they didn't like flip out her hair all the way, like all around. And I don't know if that's accurate with how she started wearing it later, but I'm like, those elements of kind of modernizing her look, and then they would just stop curling her hair throughout the film later. I'm like, those kind of it just showed how it was, Kristen. It was very much a Kristen flick. And it wasn't about her blending or disappearing into Diana. So the one time that I thought that Kristen Stewart really embodied Diana was during the walk down the hallway, because everything else was like shouldery and kind of awkward. But that walk when she finally uses her hips and not, I was like, that's it. From the back, that's her.
I was talking about how I do think this is Kristen Stewart's play for the Oscar. I mean, I do think she will be nominated, and I do still think Gaga will be nominated because there aren't that many films that have been released. Like, if you look at the landscape, it's kind of like, movies aside from superhero movies. Jodie, I haven't seen The Last Duel. I need to watch that. But Jodie Comer, I don't know if she's such an incredible actress. I wish you would have kept watching Killing Eve, but
I wish you would start watching Nana, but you never do. So it's like,
wow, so we're taking shots. It's a morning for.
I guess it is. I guess it fucking is. Okay.
Wow. I give this movie, it's a 5.5 for me. it's not, I didn't feel, I felt like when I had to pause and I was just like, oh my gosh, I'm so bored. I'm bored. This is boring. I can't get into this. I can't get into these people. I don't know. I'm out. Like, I've never really had that. I've only had that happen with one other movie. It was a Quentin Tarantino movie, The Hateful Eight, and I freaking hated that movie. I could not even watch it. It was
I feel
so.
like you hated Once Upon a Time in Hollywood too.
No, I haven't watched that one. I'll have to see
Oh,
it.
you
I'll have
probably
to.
would hate it.
Yeah,
See,
I was.
I didn't mind this film, but I also didn't like go to the theater for it. So, I thought it was like I do like watching Kristen Stewart, and it was nice seeing kind of how well she would. It was for the curiosity, right?
Right.
I'm like, can she do this? Because I after the disaster of Seaburg, I was well expecting um, something else. But then when I heard her accent, I'm like, oh, she actually tried this time.
I hated her mouth. There were certain times when she was speaking, and it was
Yeah.
like her jaw would just come. Yeah, and I can't. I
Yeah,
can't.
I can't.
I
I
can't.
can't.
Oh, and why would I be talking like this? Like the pace of her speech, it was like da 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 da.
Da-da-da, da-da-da-da.
Like
It's like that nervousness. I don't think that cadence was right. Like the
yes,
way Princess Di and oh, did you notice the looking up shots? The
well, and that's along with the shoulders. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah,
it's like
see, I'm like,
poetic like way for her to move. Um, and the dance scenes, I was like, okay, we're in La La Land now. All right.
well, yeah, no, this was kind of just like a spectacle. And they
Yes.
honestly, they just, you know what it kind of seems like? They're like, we're gonna have the Diana Chanel ad, and we're gonna name it Spencer with her maiden name. And now we just need to find a way to justify naming it Spencer.
Yes.
So let's bring in a bunch of shit about her dad and her youth and how she's flashing back to it. And then we'll have like her run in a castle. Um, sounds good. Sounds good?
I just felt like the elements, exactly the elements from the description of the movie of her deciding to leave her husband, that was not that movie. So the description of the movie did not match the movie. Don't tell me it's going to be about her leaving her husband when in no shape or form did she ever utter those words. So I'm just supposed to fill in gaps? Like
Well, okay, for
like a Tinder date? Like I'm supposed to like fill in the gaps?
yeah, listen. Did at any point were you like, because again, I felt it. I felt like the oppression and the paranoia and the feeling like they're all out against to get you. And did you ever feel like the royal family was fucking with her? Because what did she say? She said the weighing her thing was fucking with her, and the book thing was fucking with her. And I mean, did you ever like feel like she was right in, or did she seem crazy to you in the movie?
No, I definitely right off the bat felt how uncomfortable like that, like there's no closeness, there's no empathy, there's no warmth. It's very cold and frigid, like right off the bat, you know. And even when she's talking to the queen, as the queen is letting out her corgis, you know, and the queen like says to her something about, you know, that's the dress I chose to wear for my address or something. It even in that, like, hey, I'm trying to be normal and talk to you, it was met with like, don't talk to me, you know. So I think they did do a very good job at making it look like there's no love lost. Like they don't like her, they don't want her there, you know, they're concerned, blah, blah, blah. They're talking about you. The movie did do a good job. And I actually wrote under love story, main relationship, I wrote Charles, yuck. And then I wrote Charles and Camilla, yuck. That sums it up quite eloquently, if I may say so myself.
Did you at any point, I mean, because I kind of felt, I'm like, didn't we, I wanted to bring Meghan Markle into this because even though I wish people would stop talking about her, and I'm not helping the cause by talking about her, but I feel like the parallels of the mental health issues kind of stuck out to me. And I just think it's really interesting how everyone is so sympathetic with Diana in this film and not her in this present time. But I also don't, I think it's rightfully so, because you don't see Diana go through this and be like, I want to do this and sign up for it and go headfirst into it. So everyone knows, even me, who I do not give a wink of time looking into the royal family or following their affairs, but even I know that it's not, no one wants to be a princess. It is a gilded cage. No one would choose it. There's no benefit. It's like all they are is a bloodline suspended in time. They have no power but being like a historical relic. Hi, Betty. Yeah, so
Oh.
and I was like thinking about it. I'm like, I wonder if they're just gonna be trapped, all those people forever. You know, can they even wear AirPods? Can they do anything modernized in public? Like what? I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we can see from the movie that no one was, I mean, I think you mean like in terms of the public being sympathetic. I can't speak to necessarily what Princess Diana has gone through, but Meghan Markle, I feel, should have been better read and better prepared to enter into that marriage with Prince Harry. Whether she watched Diana interviews, whether she had somebody really sit down and talk to her. I mean, what kind of an echo chamber do you have that you enter into this? Like, do you not watch The Crown? Like, I'm pretty sure The Crown came out well before, you know, or during their courtship or whatever. I just feel like for her to say, which is what I saw in passing, that she didn't even know he was a prince and she never Googled him. Stop. Like, that's not true. That's not true. You know, this person has, I'm sure, security and an entourage. Like, he's not a Joe Schmo. Like, okay, if you met him at a cafe and, you know, he was out grabbing a coffee and you bumped into him and blah, blah, blah. Like, girl, like, anytime you need anyone, you already have their socials. You already know if they're coming up in Google. Like, come on, enough. So I can't speak for Princess Diana. I'm glad that people are at least somewhat understanding and supportive of Meghan Markle's mental health issues, but at the same time, I feel like she, you know, this is a family. This is one of the last like surviving monarchies in the world. So, and it's that way for a reason. And it's not typically a good reason because they have to hide a lot of stuff. They can't do a lot of stuff. They can't vote, for example, you know, and they have to keep a certain level of distance from the public, and because they're a symbol of the country, you know. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Eddie, I have no more thoughts on the film anyway. I think Diana was an angel from the interviews that I watched. Like, what a amazing, amazing person to. Do you know that when she confronted Camilla, she didn't even like fucking slap or rage on her. She was just like, I know about you and my husband, and I just wanted you to know that. What class? I'd kill the bitch. I'd bury her. I'd
Well, and
put her to the
she
dogs.
operated with poise, and you have to think about everything that they put her through and how she was very, Charles was so jealous of her because she became this like symbol of the people, right? And she at the time, in the time of the AIDS epidemic, like she gave that AIDS patient a hug, and that like took people back because they thought that AIDS was transmitted through touch and interaction. And she broke a lot of those perceptions about the disease. And yeah, I think, the whole point of this family is to be removed and classy and standing on tradition and, you know, but not all royalty is like that. There's royalty in Liechtenstein, there's royalty in other parts, there's Princess Sophia, and there's like low-key royals out there. There are
Mm-hmm.
people who are not as like stuffed up, but the people that are the closest to the queen, um and even this is why I like The Crown, because The Crown, I think I watched like the first couple seasons, but The Crown is very good at pointing out those nuances of like, there is the person that is the queen, and then there's your wife, and those are two different people.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the crown goes first. The crown has to be respected. The crown has to be, and her husband, Queen Elizabeth's husband, had a hard time with that as well, because she became this authority, and it's a tough transition. It's a hard transition to make. So there's rules to this game. There's
Mm-hmm.
how this whole system operates, but I'm not surprised. Like I said, I wasn't surprised to hear that, they wouldn't offer any mental health help for Meghan Markle. No, because they don't want anything out in the public. But yeah. What's our next film? What's our next?
I honestly, I can't with these biopics and these prestige films. They're just so fucking boring.
I know. We need to take like another.
We need a fun movie.
Yeah, we need a fun movie. I agree.
But yeah, but compared to House of Gucci, at least these people, it wasn't farcical. It was, at least they committed to realism.
Well,
Right, Matthews?
I
Aren't
don't
you
know.
happy?
He's literally imagining a dead historical figure, but okay, I'll let that one. Let that one go. And at the top, crying in every bedroom, shoulder action. But I mean, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Yeah, it was not fashion camp. Like, it was pretty, seemed pretty, yeah. Okay. Well, I gotta go. I'm always on the go.
All right.
Oh, Buffy. Oh, oh. Boy, she just makes herself at home, doesn't she?
She certainly does.
Oh
She's
my
just like
God.
her mama.
Just like, yep, this is where I'm gonna sleep now. Thank you.
Well, it's way past my getting up time. God, she's just amazing. This cat is just amazing.
All right.
But yeah.
Okay. Well, love you. Love you guys.
Love you. Bye.
Good day.
You too.
Talk to you later, Gators.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.
You stinky little voyeurs. Come back next week for more. Bye.